What do you think the biggest misconception is about wholesaling?
That is easy. And wholesaling, I believe, man, is the groundwork that's needed for anybody trying to get into real estate.
A good contractor is going to be more expensive, but they're worth their weight in gold.
Yes.
Because like you said, it's not just about the quality of the work. It's about getting done on time.
So essentially, man, you can't let anybody, ceiling be your floor. You have to be just confident in yourself to believe in what your mission is, man.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Let's Talk Assets podcast. My name is Chris A. Williams, one of your hosts, and I'm joined by my co-host,
Giovanni Paradise.
Y'all, today we have a very, very special guest. We got Greg Hux, who's a real estate developer. Greg, we appreciate you for coming on, man. How are you doing today?
Thank y'all for having me, man. It feels amazing, y'all. It feels amazing today.
Yes,
awesome,
sir.
Man.
Yes.
How's real estate been this year?
It's been insane, man.
Awesome.
A lot of ups and downs. I just transitioned into the developmental space. So I did my first one like the first of the year, and then I rolled right into the second one back to back. So it was just like a crazy, just like we're gonna do it, we're gonna build. And we just not said not only one, we just did two back to back. So it was like everything wrong that could have been wrong on the first one. And so now we're finally rebounding into what not to have done on this second one go around. So now we've found a lot more success with that, but it's been a journey for sure.
That's beautiful. Tell us about where you're from, Greg.
I'm from Smithfield, man.
Okay.
Smithfield, little town.
Near
same high
Suffolk.
school. Yeah, Suffolk. Yeah, Suffolk. Surrey, like a smaller town area.
I love Smithfield.
You know about Smith?
Oh yeah.
Carrollton or Wade?
Yeah.
Carrollton coming up.
Oh yeah, Carrollton's definitely up and coming.
Yes.
I own a property in Franklin.
Franklin. I'll be there tomorrow.
Franklin's nice, man. I mean, these little small quaint towns, but it's starting to get a lot of stuff starting to get pushed out there.
I agree. I agree. Yes.
Yep. So I mean, it's the only way it's affordable. Everything out here is kind of crazy. South side.
Yeah, but Franklin's up and coming to like Savannah. They're developing out there now, in Danville and a couple different markets. But
Surrey's right out there too.
Surrey's right out. Yeah, Surrey's in that area too. Yeah.
So kind of tell us a little bit about your upbringing and tell us about like where your mindset was in high school.
Ooh, high school, man. That was 5X t-shirts.
Showing your age now.
Oh yeah. Hey, but yeah. So just growing up, man. Like I come from a great family. Like my mother, father, grandparents, siblings. Like a great solid foundation. So I start there, man. Like just gratitude from, being able to have a strong family to just give me a good framework starting off. Of course, when I was, teenagers, all that crazy stuff, stealing cars but I didn't do it. But like, just being in that group, in that environment, stuff like that, man, just being in the wrong environments a lot of times, it sharpened me up pretty quick, man. So they were like 14, 15. So I was like, football, I mean, I played, I tried out for football and didn't even make it through practice. So I was like, this ain't for me. So it's like, I never really, I always had an entrepreneurial spirit as far as like, I always feel like I thought different amongst like, my peers at that time is rather, as far as just like, just the vision that I had is like, I felt strange in that way. So this was the path I've been taking my whole life. Now I look at it as far as like just having a road view on just outlooks of what, of what everybody sees. So.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So high school, let's talk about senior year. Did you graduate?
Yes.
When you graduated, what was your mindset? Like what was next? Get a job. Yeah. So there was no external pressure on you to go to a higher education, university or anything like that?
Not really.
So get a job. So talk to us about what you did right after high school.
So right out of high school, first of all, I had like 10 jobs.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I worked at HUD Distribution. I worked at Sonic. I worked at man, so many different places, like selling vacuums and knives, like when that MLM was real heavy.
Yep. Yeah. I used to do Cutco.
Yeah, Cutco.
There you go. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's what I'm selling knives. I'm like getting on my friends. Look, man, I got this meeting we need to all go to. And it's like, here's the presentation of, all the, organic gold. And nothing against those MLMs, but that was a thing, man. Like people wanted to try to find quick bucks. So, I got on that wave and just trying to figure out little stuff, man, throwing a lot of stuff at the walls, but not really sticking, because I knew I didn't want to be at a shipyard, for 40, 50 years. But at the same time, when you don't know what opportunities out there, you just do what's in front of you.
Yeah. What would you say is some of the valuable lessons that you learned? You said you worked like 10 jobs at one point. So what are some of the valuable lessons you learned from those jobs that helped you now in real estate?
So I would say just customer service was a big one. Just being able to communicate with people, connect, just being able to just understand just different ways to serve people and connect with them to see really what the issues are. Mm-hmm. So like that's really something I had a strength at growing up, just being able to just be a sensible, sense of reason when it comes to just logical things. Just gratitude for just being able to just be genuine and just transparent so people can connect to really get to whatever the problems are,
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's good.
How old were you when you started at the shipyard?
19.
19. So you started there very young.
Yes.
What would you say is the overall mindset for people that are working in an environment like that? What is their life plan, their goals usually, if you were to sum it up?
Stability, have a good, 40, 50 years, provide for their family and, go on a vacation a year and just have a stable, solid life. That's the portrayal they give us. Just go to work and just get that steady paycheck, and take care of your family that way.
So that 9-to-5 mindset, that work, retire, live on a fixed income. Why was that not for you, Greg?
Because I just always had I got that vision early, man. I got that vision early of just I always wanted to Dodge Viper. You know what I'm saying? Just always just those type of things. When you break the numbers down, how do you do that if you're making, $10 an hour? So I don't know. So I just always had just aspirations just to see, just of what, not the movies, but just kind of just seeing other versions of life opposed to just doing this every single day. Mm-hmm. It just really wasn't attractive after a while. Just I was there for 13 years, man,
Yeah. So 13 years, that's quite a run in the shipyard.
Yes, right.
After that 13 years, what finally made you say, okay, this is no longer, because look, 13 years is a lot of time invested with a company.
Right.
Mm-hmm. In one particular area. What was the breaking point? What was that catalyst that said, okay, it's time for a change?
Wow, just different life events happening. Just different awakenings of, at the time I was just getting married. I was having a baby on the way. I lost my grandparents. All those life was building a new house at the time. Just all those things that just normally happens in a longer time frame. It was compressed into all these feelings. It was on top of wanting to break through to this experience, just the passion of real estate, man. Because I was starting wholesaling while I was still at the shipyard. So I still was, so I experienced, receiving those type of wholesale checks. And I'm still getting my regular paycheck, and it's it just won't add up regarding. Say I got an appointment, and somebody say, "Can you come at 1 o'clock?" I'm like, I'm here at 1 o'clock. I can't even go to the appointment. So that started to become more and more where it made sense to be out in the field opposed to me. I was making $23 an hour, but I was just stuck in that gate, in that confinement where I couldn't really move to make other opportunities.
Yeah. Wow. So you said that you were getting wholesale checks while at the shipyard. So how did you get into real estate in the first place? And why did you start specifically with wholesaling?
Real estate. What's the best ways to make money? What's the fastest ways to make money? And, real estate was one of the first things that popped up, and then wholesaling. And I introduced, Jay Morrison was one of the guys that Jay Morrison, Chris Jefferson, Max Maxwell, Antonio Edwards, my guy, Chris, all these guys, it just created a community, man. When you start going on YouTube looking for freedom and those things gonna pop up. When you actually listen to the podcast and the YouTube videos and really engulf yourself in just the education of really what it is first, learning ARV and repair, like all the stuff that you just kind of just get into the wholesaling space. It just opens all that up to really learn more, meet more people, and just really come into your own of what areas you want to focus on it too. Because there's a lot in real estate, a lot of different facets of other than wholesaling. So
absolutely. And for you, 13 years at the Shipyard, that can't go without some type of lesson in there. What would you say the most valuable lesson or thing you took out of your time there, your tenure there at the Shipyard?
That's good. That's good. So it was a unique journey for myself because at the Shipyard, I worked, on my tools for a period of time. And then I ended up going to the union, which basically, like I was telling you about the union, I was going outside of the gate. So my time was a little bit different because at the Shipyard, you got to be there at 7 o'clock sharp to 3:30. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be locked in and you parked a mile away. If it's raining, if it's pouring and raining, you better get to that gate and get to your station before you so they can get your car. So it was a lot of anxiousness and animosity of having to get up early, you and your final warning. It's a lot of that. So when I was able to go to the union hall, they kind of opened me up. So I had to be there at 8 o'clock or I had to go. I was working for the newspaper, so I interview politicians that come into the area or things of that. So having a lot of events where I'm traveling. So I'm kind of seeing that kind of okay, Monday I'm at the Shipyard, Tuesday I'm at the union hall where I can go and have that flexibility, just it felt more purposeful for what I was doing. So when I had that type of freedom of, going here to this different location, meeting other union members, is passionate about what they're doing, about the mission at hand, that type of energy cultivated me into a mindset of okay, I can do more than just this. And then coupled with the real estate, it just created that extra level of freedom where it's now I can have autonomy, still serve people and still be able to, add value.
Yeah,
so
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So when you say basically, when you were going through this journey of getting into real estate, what was your inner circle, kind of your close friends, your family, what were people starting to say? What did people deter you from it? They say, are you crazy?
Yeah.
Why? Why would people say you're crazy for wanting to pursue something that's better?
Well, in their mind, they're essentially, they're projecting their limitations on me. That's in hindsight.
Ooh,
That's
powerful. Can you look at the camera when you say that? They were doing what?
They were projecting their insecurities onto me. So essentially, you can't let anybody, seal and be your floor. You have to be just confident in yourself to believe in what your mission is, man.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So basically, you didn't have overwhelming support when you were trying to first make that step and make that journey. There was a little bit of apprehensiveness from your inner circle, which I feel like the reason why I wanted to bring that up and why I feel that's so powerful is because a lot of people will stop because of that. They will never go pursue their dreams because a lot of people will place their limitations on them. Yes. Look, one thing I could say about my mother, she's always been very supportive of me, but she doesn't have the entrepreneurial mindset. Right. So when I went and started my journey, she was, I don't want to say the word skeptical, but they're like, are you sure?
Are you sure? Yeah.
You sure you don't want something that's steady?
Yes.
And most people are very used to that.
Yes.
But I feel like that's part of, what we get caught up in, right? Yeah. We get super comfortable, right? They want us to be comfortable. They want us to consume their food, consume their data, consume their entertainment, and
consume their debt, stay in a consumption mindset.
Consumption mindset. And that keeps you stuck in the wheel, right? Because you even know, it doesn't matter how much money you make. Doctors is no different than the dudes working at the shipyard. They're stuck in the same wheel because only thing is they make more money, right? Excuse me. The doctors, they make more money, but they spend more money. And that's how it's designed, right? And so they get stuck. So they have to keep showing up every day to get that paycheck. They can never escape from that.
Yeah.
And they're still stuck. They don't show up, they don't get paid.
Yeah.
You have to be there. You're exchanging your time
for money
instead of your money for time.
Yes.
And so that's powerful. I wanted you to say that because look, for the viewers, not everyone is going to support you. If you have a dream, you want to go start a business, sometimes it's the people closest to you that are not going to support you. But, big shout out to you for not letting that stop you.
Thank you.
So to date, how long have you been in real estate now?
10 plus years.
Woo!
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, 10 plus years. That means you're doing something right. That's a long time, brother, to be in real estate.
Yes.
So, Greg, I wanted to talk about your timeline. But first, before we talk about your timeline, let's talk about some of your first deals, right? Because you started out wholesaling, you came straight from the shipyard.
Yeah.
So what would you say is the most valuable lesson that you learned at first starting out with wholesaling?
Wow. So with wholesaling, just learning is a very simple concept, but it's easy. It's easy, but it's not simple.
Yeah.
Because you have to, like, the principles, you find a property, get it on the contract, assign your interest to that end buyer. Okay. But the actual, getting the phone calls, getting, like, just tapping in with the existing people that's doing it, man. You have to go and connect with networking events. I did a lot of RIS, Trig, PRI, all those things like that. Just to network with like-minded people. That was, that preliminary, just seeing who's aggressive, just being in that room. Yeah. Like you said, it all goes back to mind state. So, just being around those like-minded people, that's how I started. And it's, of course, just doing YouTube and just a lot of self work, man. It's like just the reading and really just, applying it, just listen to a lot of podcasts, hours and hours of podcasts and stuff like that.
I love it. So 10 years ago. So I'm going to ask you some wholesaling questions because I'm a wholesaler as well. That's how I started on the investment side.
Right.
What do you think the biggest misconception is about wholesaling?
That is easy.
Oh, tell us more. Tell us more.
That's what they tell you. YouTube says anybody can do it.
Right.
So easy a caveman could do it.
Hey, no, oh my goodness, man! Like,
so talk to us because just to give you context, I probably have my most stressful day ever in real estate. I've been in business about 9 years, and so I've probably had my most stressful day ever.
Today?
Yes, today.
Tell them why though. Tell them why.
Oh yeah, I had 7 closings today. 8 if you count wholesale. No, but no. I'm on the investing side now. I don't just wholesale, so it's not. You know what I mean? It's I flip. Flip and then and stuff like that. But a lot with this wholesale stuff, man, we're in the business of distress. The closings come from the same leads.
Yes.
That we wholesale, right?
Yes.
People have some type of distress.
Yeah.
So there's always something going on, like with them. With the property, tenants, so I want you to elaborate judgments. There you go. I want you to elaborate when you said the biggest misconception about wholesaling is that it is easy. What do you think that the public needs to know of why wholesaling is not easy?
Because you have to really care. You have to really care about what you're doing with wholesaling. Like you said, you're dealing with people that's in distress, people that are going through different multitudes of divorce, just loss of child, just life essentially. So in my opinion, what's been the reason of my success through real estate and through wholesaling, because just genuinely trying to find out really what can I do to help, not, because the numbers are the numbers, man. So if a property, of course, when we get the deal, we're gonna look at it, see square footage and bad, so we're gonna know our numbers pretty much. If it's a good deal or not, essentially.
Yeah.
So man, like just actually helping the people, man, has been one of the things that I just stayed true to throughout the whole process, man. And again, it does come with situations where a person, owes on a lien or property taxes or just whatever it is. But if it still makes sense on the back end, that's where I can come in and help at, man. This is just to solve problems, just because that's the biggest investment, their property. So we're taking that distressed property, renovating it, and bringing it to a family that can live in it. So that's a very important process. So we can help the actual person out that's in distress through that process. It's a win for everybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
With wholesaling, right? A lot of people don't talk about the bad. Everyone sees the checks. It's very saturated now. I kind of just got into it. I was an agent
nice.
When I first got into business. That's how I started. Started off as an agent. I got into it when I moved back here about 3 years ago, and it was very, very popular, right?
Yeah.
It was like a fad. I mean, I still think a lot of people are saying they wholesale. However, with that being said, what do you think the biggest challenge is with wholesaling?
A challenge, man, I would say credibility. Credibility is very, very big because if you, again, being that something that's so saturated, if you're doing unlawful business, you're going to create unnecessary eyes that's going to scrutinize and regulate, it's something that can really help people, So with wholesaling, just knowing your actual knowledge, just to not get properties on the contract too high and they had to wait months before, all this time you telling the seller they're preparing to move out and then you can't find an end buyer and then you got that person in a jam.
I love that. That is beautiful. You touched on a point that I tell everybody. So, and I learned this, and I had great training. Shout out to Gregg. He was one of my trainers in real estate. He told me as a listing, I used to list a lot of properties, and some of them I list too high. I just wanted to list it, right? I wanted, the feather in my hat, say, I got another listing. Yeah. And he was like, well, what happens when you do that? One, it's not going to sell. They're going to be mad at you. When it doesn't sell, then they'll never relist for you. And you only get paid if it sells. Yeah. So he's like, you spending all that time, you have an upset seller, they're going to blame you when you list their property 25. And so I didn't realize how much time it was sucking from me for listing these bad properties. I thought I was doing something right. And now I applied that same principle when I got into wholesaling. And I told, my team, my partner, we don't just lock deals up and say we got a deal on the contract. Right. There has to be a pathway to profitability because we're not just wasting their time, you're wasting your time, which is even more important, right? When you focused on this $5,000 deal, maybe you're trying to squeeze, it's already been squeezed. There's no juice left in there. You're trying to force a deal when you could be focusing on getting a good property and getting into a better situation. Yes. So the thing that, to me, I find the most frustrating part of the business, and I don't do well with this. I'm working on it. And I'll tell you, this has happened to you before, is when you sign a contract, and for people like me, and you've been in the business for a long time, you pride yourself on doing what you say you're going to do. And that's what I take pride in. There's a lot of wholesalers in the area and in this country that have given it a bad name because again, like you said, they lock up stuff just to try to throw stuff at a wall, see if it sticks. They try to assign it for 40, 50K over when it's just not, the spread's not there. The spread's not there. And then, these sellers get beat up. And my problem is because I pride myself on being transparent.
Yes.
And I find out very quickly within a week or less if a deal's going to work out for me or not. I don't waste my time. Their time is when you put a property under contract, and then the seller, for no real justifiable reason, just, I'll cancel in the agreement. Has that ever happened to you?
Bro, it's so crazy how as you speak, my emotions just going like all of this stuff has been, my God. Back out the day of closing. Like it gets it's heart-wrenching because imagine coming into the wholesale space, you're basing your entire life, your family off. So you just get into the game. I got a closing coming up for 8K. Or I got this, like you're thinking you got to say 15K coming in that month. And that 8K gone because title just had a judgment on it. And now that's screwed. And then this deal falls apart because the lender says that the appraisal wasn't enough. Like all the stuff that can happen and it just wipes the whole deal away. So it's like you got to be able to have like insane resilience, man. Like that's one of those ones.
I've unfortunately had to sue a few people.
Yeah.
Sellers.
Yeah.
To sign a contract, call me back a week later, say, hey, I got another offer, it's higher, I'm canceling your contract. I kind of say, hey, well, that's not really kind of how it works. We had an agreement. You expect me to do what I say I was going to do, right? And I only expect the same out of you. And that part has taken the wind out of my sail because anybody, if you've ever sued somebody, it is not fun. It is not fun to sue people. I don't care if you win. Very rarely is it going to be worth the time, energy, and effort that you put into it. And that's what, once we reached scale, once we started doing a lot of volume, it's like, I don't know why. I'm getting a bunch of bad apples. And what's so crazy, and I don't know why this is with wholesaling, it's the smallest deals, the deals that are only like 10K assignments that I have the worst sellers. The ones I make 50 grand on, the seller, I had one today, I was walking in the title company, he's walking out, made like 40-something thousand, very smooth transaction.
Right.
The guy just jumped up. I mean, I advanced the money, he needed money, for Christmas. I gave him some money. Yeah. He was just, I'll pay you back. But he just is a very smooth transaction. And I mean, I had no idea that someone was going to pay that for the property. I thought it was a small deal, but sometimes I get even shocked, right? What people are willing to pay. And he just gave me a hug. He was there with his daughter. He's like, the house was in very, very bad shape. He was getting ready to lose it. Where, he was about 3 weeks out from foreclosure. We were able to help him out. But those people are way easier to deal with. It's the people that have it in this mind that, you know what I mean? And that's what the part for me about wholesale. That's it. If it wasn't for that, it makes that part right there, you get kicked in the teeth for wholesale if you do it correctly.
Yes.
Because if you do it at any type of volume or scale, you're in the business of distress. These deals are dirty. And I've had a lot of people come and go very quickly. They come from the retail side. They try to go over to this wholesale side. And they don't realize that it's not smooth sailing like a house on the MLS. It is not. It is dirt.
To get clear title and all those things, like you got all these heirs on the property. Like it's a lot of moving parts, man.
Let's put Chris on the spotlight. Tell us about your first flip, about what you went through just on the acquisition side. Let's not even talk about construction.
On the acquisition side, was smooth, man. I'm not gonna lie, to be honest with you. Because I purchased that property creatively.
No, but I'm talking about, there was a bunch of time. It wasn't just.
Oh, you're talking about that assignment.
Yes.
You're talking about one of the assignments that I did a couple of months ago.
Yep.
Yeah, she ended up having 6 judgments on it.
Yes.
Yeah. And then she was an elderly seller, so she didn't text really. She called, and she loved the call. We probably spoke to her 10, 12 times a day. Not just me, but title company, all of that. So that was a fun process. But at the end of the day, it's all about solving people's problems.
Absolutely.
So that's why
it just wasn't easy breezy like your regular MLS deals. You're a big time MLS guy.
They're
a little bit smoother, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You got all these judgments.
Yeah.
And what people don't realize is that people sometimes think their debt just disappears.
No.
Being for real.
It's the tax.
I had one seller, he went to closing, he's like, I'm not paying this. I'm like, sir, you owe the IRS $24,000.
Can't get around it.
I can't pay that for you. That's the federal government, sir. They're going to get their
anyway, one way or the other.
Yeah.
Man, you're really bitch off, man.
I was like, sir, you keep playing with they can't lock you up for tax evasion. You know what I mean? I told him, he's like, man, I ain't not paying. I'm like, sir, you can't sell the property unless you pay him. Mm-hmm. And some people just, that's the part of the business with off market. When you deal sometimes with people that are delinquent or any type of distress, sometimes they don't realize that, hey, you own a property, it gets lien to the property. People will get their money back. And when you owe people money.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I think a lot of people think wholesaling is, hey, hop in, you're going to make it's not a get rich quick scheme. And a lot of people phase out of it, from what I've seen. I've been in the game long enough to see people come and go, or people to decrease their commitment to it because of how much it takes to get the deal across the finish line.
Yes.
And of course, a lot of people who wholesale effectively, they get really smart and cross over, and you become flippers, become builders, become investors.
Yes.
If you're smart, because you don't want to be stuck in that.
And then rat race. Yes.
Don't spend all your assignment checks on Gucci, Louis, and Prada. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna say this, you get it right on the head. Or if you do, just invest in LVMH. You know what I'm saying? Invest into the stock.
Invest into the stock.
That's gonna yield it. I mean, like every cent got to make sense, man. Like I'm not just making any just purchase that just not gonna bring back any. Not all the time. Of course, we spend on but it's like, but most of the time, man. Like I'd rather say get a creative finance deal, renovate it, and then rent the rooms out or rent it out traditionally. Like it'll make sense to spend $7,000 on that opposed to a bag. That's
absolutely.
100%.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Not against that, but at least let the cash flow from that pay for the liability.
Absolutely.
You know?
The funny thing about wholesale, in my experience, is that's a lot different than being a real estate agent. Is wholesale, you're seen as the bad guy, unfortunately, with these acquisition appointments, because you got to tell the seller why your home is not worth the amount that they think it is. They're relying off of their estimates. Some are even talking about their tax value. They're like, okay, if my tax value is here, then I'm not going to sell you my property at this amount. So you really have to explain to them why the property needs to be at that amount. So one thing that's helped me out tremendously in those appointments is I literally bring my laptop and I'll show them everything. I'll pull up the Real Estate Information Network, show them exactly how a flipper is going to run their formula, and show them this is why your property does need to sell at this amount. I'm not just pulling a number out my hat. Yeah, this is why. And I've had sellers who started the appointment just cussing me out, and by the end of it, they're signing the contract because I can actually show it to them. I can really tell it to them.
Absolutely. I've
been cussed out. I think one time I had someone cuss me out, tell me to get the F out of his house. I sold him the comps. I said, look, your house right next door sold, and this is probably what it's worth fixed up. Yeah. He wanted very close to that number, and his house, they like $50,000 worth of work. Mm-hmm. He told me, it was in Smithfield, believe it or not. He told me to get the F out. I was like, wow. And the wife was like, his wife looked at us, I'm so sorry. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're not gonna. I mean, yeah.
But you know what's crazy is I like to keep track of stuff, right? I followed it up. He sold that house $25,000 less than what my offer was, and that's crazy. Yeah. All because he got emotional.
Yeah,
in ego.
I don't know what happened, but he sold it 25 less than what my offer was. I was gonna close on it. I wasn't even trying to wholesale because you know. The beauty about transitioning, right? When you transition from a wholesaler to a flipper, the beauty is I can go a lot higher. I know than people that's coming in trying to wholesale. I'm gonna give them an offer whatever the spread is. I'm gonna offer what I can pay for it.
Yeah.
And so, like I'll tell you about this because I've had a day. I literally went to this woman's house. Me and my acquisition manager. We sat there with her. She said, "All right, what's the offer?" I knew what the last guy offered her. I offered her $40,000 more. Then she had 3 people come in, all, off of different, channels. She called them to come in. I offered her $40,000 more. She marked up my contract, sat there for an hour, changed what she wanted, didn't like, add stuff she wanted. I agreed to all of it. I gave her $40,000 more, right? And then wants to call me the next day, says I need to give her more money or she canceling the contract. I just don't know what to do. I said, ma'am, I know I had to go because I didn't know who I was in competition with, right? It was a great property over here in Chesapeake, great neighborhood. I was like, I'll pay top dollar because I'm only gonna make 40 on it, but I'm in and out. It was an easy fix. I'm not gonna be greedy. I was like, I know when I'm in competition, I know how high I gotta go. And I know 9 times out of 10, if I go to that number, I'm like, okay, I got to close on this because I'm not going to be able to sign it. I got to be competitive. I got to beat everybody else out. And so that's the biggest thing, that when you transition from a wholesaler to flipper, you got to know your numbers.
Bob, and wholesaling, I believe, man, is the groundwork that's needed for anybody trying to get into real estate because it's all lead gen. So when you actually know the game of wholesaling, you know how to break down and analyze deals to whereas, okay, I can wholesale to myself. You can wholesale it to yourself essentially, like or whatever to get the deal done. But just learning that strategy shows you, the fundamentals to how to just run the business. That's what the actual, the heart of the business is through that technique.
Yeah.
When did you make the transition? How deep into it? At what point did you start because you already had a career prior? Did you start wholesaling and investing simultaneously, or did one become before the other?
So when I was working at the shipyard, I was primarily wholesaling, and I did flip too. I had a fixer that I was working on at the time too. So I was doing all 3 simultaneously. Man, it was a lot working at the shipyard and still trying to do wholesaling to generate leads. And then I did my first flip at the time, which didn't like it was my first one. So it took a year for us to do. It was crazy, man. It was crazy.
So let's talk about this because this is a good segue. It was a great conversation because Chris just completed one of his first flips.
Wow.
Let's talk about your first flip. We talked about wholesaling. What was a lesson you learned? What was like the biggest lesson you took from that you can kind of give advice to people to short circuit so it didn't take a year? Or why did it take a year to flip a house?
So the way the loan, it's 7 years now. So it's been, but what the loan we took out was a FHA loan. So we had to keep the loan seasoned for a period of time. We didn't know anything about
seasoning period.
Yes, yeah. So we had to keep the loan for 6 months. So it was like it was right at Denver, a 20K, 30K rehab. Took us a year because me and my partner, we were just painting and doing the stuff ourselves. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So
You didn't hire it out.
We didn't hire it out. So we both working at the time. So a month go by. Did we paint? So we was doing the work. Then it was like, man, I don't want to drive all the way to Denver. I was living in Smithfield at the time. So I was like, it was just like couldn't have been any worse as far as just like just not knowing good contractors, the type of loan that we took out. Just all the things that we could have did wrong. Like I made a lot of mistakes on the front end, just keeping it honest, just having to just learn, not knowing,
Yeah.
But did you make money?
I didn't make money, but I got wisdom from it, which is more priceless.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
That's good.
Chris, tell us some of the troubles and hurdles that you ran into your first flip and lessons you learned.
Yeah, man.
Because a lot of people think it's glorious, right? They see HD TV.
Yeah.
They see all the glitz and the glitz.
Yeah.
Well, they don't realize, hey, look, TV's not real.
Yeah, exactly.
The Lamborghini with
No. I feel like, man, I did a lot of stuff wrong with my flip, but also what I did right was I made sure I had so much margin there where I could do so much stuff wrong and still come out very green.
Yes.
So,
that's a good. Well, let's just real quick then, because that's the most important lesson.
Yeah.
You make money when you buy, not when you sell.
Make money on the buy.
Nothing can overcome buying a property wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Could you start it off wrong?
Exactly. So yeah, man, there's so many things that happen with that. Like I remember my HVAC, they stole a wire out my HVAC. It's funny because that wire, they can probably resell the copper for like $70, made me have to spend $6K to buy a whole new HVAC. So it was like little dumb stuff like that. I could have avoided it because I was trying to be cheap. I didn't want to get a fence. I was just I was like, we don't need a fence. And if I would have had a fence, they wouldn't have been able to get to the HVAC. Right. So literally the day after that happened, put a fence on. I'm like, all right, like, I get it. I get it.
You're talking about a cage or a fence around the house?
The fence around the house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, fence around the house.
I told you the little cheap trick I be doing.
Yeah.
I put fake security cameras.
I did that too.
And then put the light on. Yeah. Buy what or Amazon just put like fake security camera and you drill it into right above it around the house. And then just put the side security cameras in use and have a spotlight come on and it keeps a little red dot on. They're like $20 on Amazon.
Oh yeah, they're not going. Yeah, that's a deterrent.
Yeah. And have it well lit. Smart. You know what I mean?
Man, oh man, horror stories of that. Oh my goodness,
it's super smart doing that. But like, I mean, even my rehab budget, like, I thought I was gonna be able to save some things because the seller, she was gonna flip it. She ended up having a contractor run off on her. Which is the reason why she didn't flip it herself. So there was new IKEA things in there. I was like, all right, cool. I'll be able to install this, no issue. Nope. So what ended up happening was we tried to install those things. We had materials missing. So I had paid the contractor to install them. I had to pay him to demo it. Then I had to buy new materials. So my rehab budget, I was accounting for, what was it? I think I was accounting for 45 to 50K. I ended up spending 88K on that property. But here's the plus side. I had so much margin. I was still very in the green, even though my rehab budget was almost 2 times what I thought.
And did you set a record?
Yes. Yep. Record setting comp on that specific street. So we reset the whole neighborhood. Like I had a 4-bedroom that was right beside me. Mine was a 3-bedroom and I sold for more than that. But I put so much care, love, money into that property. My thought was, I want that property to be something that I would want to live in. Like I take pride in it. I didn't want to cut corners because we've seen these bad flips where it's like they're just rushing in and out, but they sit on the market longer. I didn't want to do that.
Yes, man. Like I don't want to put on no product that I can't stand by.
Exactly.
To live in for my children. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the purpose of this. One of the purposes of this business to get somebody a safe, reliable place that they can like rest their family at.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, all of that other stuff is just crazy, man.
When it comes to flipping, because obviously my company name's on that property.
Yeah,
I like to think. Denzel said this, playing the character of Frank Lewis. It's like Pepsi. I guarantee it.
Ooh.
So I've had problems post close. I've already sold the house.
Mm-hmm.
Agent calls my agent, hey, look, plumbing, boom.
Yeah.
So I go there, hey, we snaked the drain, it's $2,000-$3,000 fix. Look, we're gonna take care of it. That happened 2 weeks after closing. My guys may have flushed debris may have gotten in the, when they moved plumbing or something happened, if debris got in there and caused a backup, I don't want a brand new homeowner because it could be VA. They might not have the money, have to pay that. And then now my name is on that agent, because this is a small town. Mm-hmm. Right, that agent goes, "Hey, watch out! I'm gonna get blasted on Facebook. Watch out for their houses, that are flipped.
Yes,
you know what I mean? Because they do shady work. They do. So it's like that
spread quick.
Yeah,
exactly.
It sure does. Yeah.
And so one thing like that can ruin your reputation.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
And how much money that's gonna cost you. And you're trying to cut corners. And you got to look at it. There's a lot of, and you guys see it all the time, a lot of horror stories of people buying houses that are flipped, and people just tiling over wet subfloor, and this is going to be soggy, you know what I mean? And all kinds of issues, I bought a house one time. It was crazy. We were getting ready to close and everything we thought was great, right? The roof had to have like a little we opened up the roof and they had 3 layers of plywood on there. Mm. They just put new plywood on top. Or 3 layers of shingles that they basically just shingled over it, over the old shingles, and didn't remove it. It was right before close. I had to replace the whole roof. They cost me it was like 2 days before closing because it was an appraisal required repair. They had to do something, and we removed the roof. People, horror stories. So if anyone's watching this, you flip. Do not take shortcuts. It's gonna cost you more money in the long term. Do it right the first time. We were bamboozled too because we bought that property in that condition from a landlord, and we didn't. The roof looked good. We didn't inspect. To see that had 3 layers of shingles, man. It was terrible. Still got the pictures, man. That's crazy.
Oh, man, that's definitely, man. That's definitely.
So you started flipping. So after that first year, talk to us about the progression of what Greg started doing.
So started doing more wholesaling, but it'll be like 2 or 3 deals a month. It'll be kind of hit. It wasn't anything really consistent. And then that's why when I started doing the fix and flip, I kind of wanted to simultaneously still wholesale to kind of hold me over until the flip, because a lot of times people don't understand when you get a fix and flip, you got to front that money up front. That first draw, you got to be able to bring that money to get reimbursed. So you talking about closing costs, closing the deal out, all of that, plus the first draw. So you got to be able to have a good upfront down payment to just to float the project to get it going. So that's another part that people oversee, having to have that money on hand to keep the machine going.
Yeah, I really, and that's the only thing I don't like about the guru space, the mentorship space, is that a lot of people say you can get into this with little to no money. Wholesaling you can, but when it comes to actually taking down properties, flipping is a capital intensive business. If you want to do flipping at scale, developing at scale, you better be able to put some pennies away.
When I tell you, and I did 2 new constructions with no experience, having to come up with like all of this money for the land acquisition, for the construction loan, had to pay for the architectural plan, had to pay for the survey, had to pay for the wetland delineation because it was a wetland. So we was thinking so we had to pay $1,800 just to see if it can be built on. Yeah. And then we finally got to, deviate what we could. Then we had to pay all the surveys and architectural plans, $6,000 like this, and then they ain't including the construction loan. Then you got to pay for first draw. I'm like, having that, and then we took a whole loss that whole time on that deal because we chose the wrong contractor and the timetable went extremely off deadline. Yeah, going right to the next one. So it was like this been brutal, man. I ain't even gonna hold you, man.
When people ask me the number one advice for flipping, and you just brought up the point. I always tell people when it comes to flipping, developing, anything you're doing with real estate is you can go cheap on a lot of things in life. One thing you cannot, go cheap on is a contractor. Not saying you did that, but a lot of people, they take the cheapest bid. Right. Yeah. If you hire the cheapest guy, you're going to have to pay the more expensive guy to come back and fix it.
1,000%.
And it's going to cost you more than his original bid.
1,000%.
Because that's the contractor's worst nightmare is to go behind some shoddy work, right?
Yes.
So I tell people you get what you pay for in life, right?
Yes.
And so when it comes to a contractor, a good contractor is going to be more expensive, but they're worth their weight in gold.
Yes.
Because like you said, it's not just about the quality of the work. It's about getting done on time.
Yes.
Time is money in our business.
Yes.
Especially with these hybrid loans, we're paying interest.
Yes.
That comes out of your profit. So delays, setbacks, it's the velocity of money. So choosing the right contractor is major.
It's key, man. It's key.
But see, what I want to show people is we can, we're all up here with the experience giving you guys these lessons, but understand how many thousands and thousands of dollars we all spent to give you these lessons.
Yeah.
Whew. A lot of people, you guys are getting the game for free, that's why we do this. Yeah. We do this to educate people and to help people grow.
Yes.
We really want to provide a platform where we're giving out game, but realize that in life, experience is the best teacher.
Yes.
And experience is the best teacher.
Yes.
You can only, and then look, I'm someone who's well read, but you can only learn so much out of a book.
Yeah.
There's nothing like doing it. Yeah. How was your first development? Tell us about that. Your first build. Compared to your first flip, as far as how challenging was that for you?
Man, the most, because I didn't know how much upfront money it took to be able to get into it. You know, like the initial cost. What I learned, have that money, could do just reverse engineer everything you need, get that money, and set it in escrow somewhere.
Yeah.
And have that already on standby just to be doing his draws and just letting it do what it got to do. Because if you just don't have a solid game plan of how these things get, it can get very cumbersome, man. So that first one was a lesson, expensive pain for that one. But
yeah, ooh, I like that, expensive pain.
Yeah, expensive pain. But it gave me the experience I needed to go into the second one. And this one is pretty much went night and day regarding because I actually was using another Class A on the first one. That didn't work out. So we ended up getting another Class A and we just managed it ourselves.
That's beautiful.
To ensure that, it's a lot smoother. So.
And when you say we.
I had a partner on this too.
Mm-hmm.
So but when you were doing the wholesaling and flipping, you had a partner or you were doing most of that all by yourself?
Wholesaling by myself.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
And so what made you decide to partner up when it came to the actual investing, not wholesaling?
That's a good question. Well, because the wholesaling aspect was a lot more streamlined. Like if you find the off-market lead and you got the cash buyer that you've been closing deals with, it's more so you can pretty much keep that replicated, So that really didn't require bringing another person in to JV on the deal unless I couldn't find a buyer for it. I'll joint venture.
Yeah.
But typically I'll have my own buyers and it's pretty much, keep everything going that way with the wholesaling. But with the fix and flip, I did partnerships with a good friend of mine that, we just started up in real estate together. So we just did that. So it's mainly been like organic friendships where, if they're interested, well, let's JV, let's see what we can do. So it'll be more organic that way when it comes to the partnerships.
I love that. No, I have a lot of partnerships.
Yeah.
So I always like to hear other people's insight.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So what's next for Gregg?
Man, what's next is consulting and coaching.
Ooh, I love it.
Consulting is just about that.
Yeah, so I'm going to take just this 10 plus years of pitfalls and everything going wrong that happened to me. I'm going to try to minimize that experience as much as I can. You going to go through your own trial and tribulations, but I'm going to offer my resources, my skills, everything it took for me to become credible, just to offer that to my community, man, of people that's really trying to get going. That's
beautiful. I love that.
Yeah.
Definitely have a lot to offer, everything you've been through. Like you said, you learned the hard way, not the easy way.
Man, bro, I took the stairs, bro.
The stairs.
Yeah.
Hey, but there's beauty in the struggle. And a lot of people forget that.
Yes.
That when you go on this journey of entrepreneurship, it's kind of going out into the fray. You're going out into that cold night by yourself and the wolves is out there.
Yeah.
And if you're not on your toes, you'll get eaten alive. You won't make it back. And you'll be back in the 9 to 5.
Yes.
So to survive how long you've survived is a major accomplishment. So congratulations on that.
Yes,
this is kind of the point of the show where we kind of turn the tables on you, where we allow you to ask us, Chris and me, any question you like. So any question you like, go ahead. You can start with Mr. Williams there. Anything you like, man. We're open book. So go ahead, ask us anything.
Okay, what nuggets can you give to yourself 5 years ago?
5 years ago, okay.
That'll be beneficial now that you're...
Chris, a young boy, he was in high school.
That's what I'm about to say, yeah. But your high school self, what would you tell your high school?
Me and Greg got the grades.
The season, man. The season.
Yeah, 5 years ago, so 20 years old, I was just starting in real estate. First thing that I would say is be more coachable. At first, I wasn't as coachable, I would say. I kind of had an ego. I had a little bit of a chip on my shoulder. That was fresh off of, me going through a lot in life. So, yeah, I definitely had a chip on my shoulder, and I felt like I could figure things out better for myself than anybody else could. So I wasn't as coachable. I wasn't willing to take mentorship, really. And I was just like, okay, I'm going to just work harder than everybody. I'm going to be better than everybody. Right. So if I would have just, not been that way, been more coachable, suck out mentorship sooner, then I wouldn't have struggled as much as I did my first year or really starting out. So that's the first thing I would say is be more coachable. Second thing I would say to my younger self is, just keep being consistent. That's really nothing. I didn't really struggle with that. But I think other young people, who are younger, they need to hear that also. Is just keep on being consistent. Something's going to work. If you just keep on showing up, something is going to work.
Amen.
You only lose when you give up, to be honest with you.
Yes.
Even if nothing's working out for you, and trust me, I've been there where I've been doing everything and nothing is working out. If you just keep showing up, it's going to work. So that's the second thing. You said 3, so I'll give you one more. The last thing that I would say is run your own race. Don't compare yourself to others. Man, in 5 years, I've seen so many people come and go. Like the people that I really thought were like one of those ones, you know, back then, they're not to be found anymore. To be honest with you, a lot of them are. I mean, a lot of them still are, but it's like, so especially social media, it's a facade, man. So you can't compare yourself to what you think somebody's doing, because a lot of times it's not really that.
It's smoke and mirrors a lot of times.
Yeah, it's smoke and mirrors, 100%. So if you just apply those 2 principles, you're just consistent, you seek mentorship, and you just run your own race, you're gonna last. I feel like it's about longevity. Who's gonna last the longest? That's what I really put my value in. You know, not somebody who just pops off amazing, you know, for a few months and then fizzles out. That's not what I want to have. I want to have longevity. So that's those are the nuggets I would say.
That's beautiful.
That's beautiful.
Thank you, man.
Damn, that's good, man. So for you, G, you've been in the game for almost 10 years, almost a decade.
Yes, sir.
So what would you recommend for a seasoned person to do to cope with the downfalls of not only real estate, just life in itself? Because a lot of times mental health is a really important thing. So what would you recommend regarding just things that you do? What are your routines to keep you to be successful as you are?
Wow. I think that mindset, right? I think the biggest myth out there is balance. Balance. People talk about balance. If you're going to make it as an entrepreneur, if you're going to run any successful business companies at scale, you're going to go through big, long periods of your life of being unbalanced. You're not going to be a high achiever and be balanced. Something's going to be sacrificed. Yeah. That's why, when it comes to like working out, I try to stay active as possible. I don't have days off because life gives you natural days off. And I apply that same mindset to business, that I don't schedule days off. Because if you schedule days off, then when there's days that you have to take off, I'm very family oriented. When I have family obligations, different things like that, where, hey, you got to take that time away to spend time with your family. Life's going to give you natural days off. And how you cope is you got to have a healthy outlet. Yeah. A lot of people in sales, a lot of people in business, right? A lot of their outlet is some type of vice, right? And, that's the biggest thing. For me, I decided to pick up boxing. I grew up kickboxing. My mother was a Muay Thai fighter. But I grew up boxing because it's a challenge. And for me, it's more mental than physical. And the mental aspect of it that pushed me has helped me with my mental health. Because, this business puts a lot of stress. Real estate is a stressful industry. And, each level, new devil, right? Yeah. And you get paid according to the stress that you can handle. So everyone's got to find an outlet. Some people it's running. I did start running a little bit too. That's a beautiful outlet. Some people like artwork. Some people like playing, music. But you find a healthy passion, something that's a pour into, learn a new language, find something that you can sink your teeth into that gives you purpose, that's self-development outside of, your business. It's about getting 1% better and realizing your mental health is all about perception, because perception is reality. And, I made my biggest mistakes in life by looking outward instead of inward. And so what I would do is I would compare myself of where I was at in life and where I thought I was supposed to be. I made the mistake of not running my own race and always feeling behind and not realizing that everyone's journey that they're on is unique to themselves. It's individual. And, your pace and whether you're spiritual or not, what God has planned for you, is laid out for you is in His time and not our time. Everyone wants to be successful overnight. And if I became as successful as I am today when I was Chris's age. I did not have Chris's abilities at his age. I was very immature. I was working in the club scene. I was a wild guy. You know what I mean? I was not disciplined. Even though I could start getting into real estate at his age, but prior to, I would not have been able to handle the money. I didn't know, I wasn't focused on investing. I didn't have the right people around me, so understanding that this is your own race will help you cope with this, and then finding a positive outlet, because you're not going to have balance. You got to realize that, being cognizant, self-aware, identifying, your weaknesses, because as a man, that's our job. You got to get better every day. Take accountability, get 1% better every day, and grow.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
That's amazing.
Amazing. Thank y'all so much, man.
Thank you, Greg.
Yes.
Greg, tell the people where they can follow you on socials.
Yes. So my Instagram will be Greg_Hux, GREGGHUX. And Facebook, that's Greg Hux. And I'm looking forward to creating, building the platform out so I can be more visible to the communities, and just merging brands with you guys, man. It's been a blessing.
Awesome, man. We really appreciate your time, brother.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
That's it, y'all. Let's talk assets.
Peace.
Peace. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.